Right, so we're going to play a bit of a game today. So we've got two teams, one that way and one that way. Okay, no conferring between the two teams. And we're going to look at some pictures, and I just want to show you a couple of things. Okay, so we're going to play Spot the Difference, or Would You or Wouldn't You? And it goes like this. So I've got a scoreboard here. That's not a very good picture, is it? Oh, can't see it. Let's go back. So here I have your brake toggle and your brake line. So would you or wouldn't you jump this brake line? Absolutely not. Hang on a minute. What about this side? No? Why wouldn't you jump it? It's very, very, very twisty, isn't it? I'm just going to show you what happens when you end up with twists and they end up down the bottom of the brake line. The largest cause of malfunctions on tandem equipment, because tandems are really big, right, is something called a tension knot. And what happens is exactly this. You can see it happening now. So if we push those lines down, push those twists down, you see how that's all knotting up now? And that could get stuck either below your slider or at the top of your brake keeper here. And that's going to prevent you from pulling your brakes down. Did the person that gave me this, is he here? No. Yeah. See? So, anybody got any idea what this is? Knicker elastic. Actually, I should score you both on that. So you got one each, didn't you, on that last one? Because both of you said. And this is just a bit of information. This isn't for a score. So this is used in heart grafts. And the interesting thing about it is that it's made out of Dacron. Heart grafts. Yeah. Yeah. But can you see how stretchy it is? And this is exactly the same as this. So this is made from Dacron as well. So that's just a bit of general information for you. So yeah, so we use Dacron in heart grafts as well. And I didn't know it until one of the surgeons who jumps here showed that to me. Right, next one. See if this is any better picture. That's not a very good picture either, is it? So can we see what we've got here? Can you see that? Can you actually work it out? No. Okay, so that is, I'm going to give you this one because it's a rubbish picture. This is the buffers for your slider at the top of your risers. And what's happened is they haven't been stitched in place, and so they're actually worked their way up inside the canopy. And if they're inside your canopy, there's a high chance that they won't come back down again. Right, okay, so let's see if we can get a better picture of this next one. There we go. What about that one? This team, what do you think? Would you jump it? No? Generally? No? What about this team? Would you, wouldn't you jump it? It's not the twist that's the problem. So we've both done very well on that. It's actually hasn't been put on correctly. So the loop for your brake toggle should be down here at the bottom, and then it creates a lock so that it doesn't come off. I've actually seen them come off like this. So if they're routed like this, I've actually seen them come off. Well done on that one. This is a bit of a scary one because I found this on a reserve parachute. Guys, this team, what do you think? Yes or no? 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 This team? No. But if you see this, if you saw this on your main, yeah, okay. So yeah, so basically the lines have just gone through each other as they've been assembled. This is a good one. I'm going to need my able assistant for this one. Would we jump like this or not? Okay, how many people, and be honest, I don't think, it's not being filmed, honest. How many people have gone out as a student and gone, no, I'm not free flying. I'm definitely not free flying on this jump. And then you've gone out and done it anyway. How many people? I know I have. Anybody else? Just me? Anybody else? Come on, no, not. Huh? Not intentionally. That's always a good one. So I want to show you the potential consequences of not having a free fly bungee, just a little piece of elastic. And elastic is always better than just a pull-up or something because it's a bit more flexible. And when you get into a position like this, it will actually pull them back up, pull your leg straps back up. So I'm just going to show you what can happen. I've got a chair. There you go, Ruby. Yeah. Frequent, obviously. This guy. Right, go on then, Ruby. And we're going into sit. So now Ruby's in the same position as this guy. Go on then. Done! It's scary, isn't it? Really scary that you can actually fall out of your rig. Premature deployment, something like that, would be enough for this guy to actually fall out of his rig the same way that Ruby just came out of that one. And it is a little bit scary when we start looking at things like that. So always have a bungee. So well done, you've both got, all of you have got that one. What about this one? These guys? What do you think? No? These guys? Can you see what's wrong? Yeah. So this particular chap, these are all pictures actually that I've taken, so just to let you know. This actually happens. This guy turned up at the drop zone that I was working at, and we caught him on the flight line with his pin like this. So we took him into the rigging room, rerouted his bridle, put the pin back in, he went off and jumped. The next time he went to jump, he came in with his reserve out and his main still in his container, and he'd done it again. So yeah, just be aware that when if you see anything like this, and you will see things like this on flight line, that it needs to be in the right place.
Looking for things like that. Why do we check? We're looking generally, pin smiley that you can see the green in the window.
Well, I mean, you are checking. Yeah, you are actually checking the routing of the bridle. Chris, is this pilot chute on the wrong way round? The bridle's going to the left. I think I just pulled the pilot chute out. He'd obviously gone to pull, and this was the consequence after when he came back in with his reserve out. There's another one.
Did you take this photo?
Yeah.
What?
That's real.
That's not. Oh, that's not real.
It is.
What? He was British jump like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a crew jumper. You've seen crew jumpers, right? Have we got any crew jumpers in here? Have we got any crew jumpers in here? Your kit's not as bad as that, is it? Oh, there you go. This is actually true. So if you don't know what you're looking at, then walk away from the flight line check, okay? Because, yeah, he did actually jump like that, but It shouldn't really, yeah, it shouldn't really be as bad as that. But I just think that's quite a good example. Okie dokie, let's have a look at the next one. There we go. So this is a teardrop with my hand underneath it. What do we think about that? Jumpable or not?
Too loose.
Yes. Too loose, yeah. So it is too loose. And what are the potential consequences? You're more likely to get a line caught around it than a premature, so a line around the cap. And again, as I say, these are all photographs that I've taken. Right, one for the instructors. Where's it? Have we got any instructors in here? Got Chris? Anybody else? Potential instructors? BIs? Any BIs? No? Okay. What about anybody else then? Why does this keep going off? You're absolutely right. The RSL is underneath the cutaway cable. What's the potential consequences of that? Any ideas? Actually, believe it or not, if you cut away from that, wouldn't do anything. It might dislodge the cable of the Vigil a bit, but I mean, it's not right, which is the first thing. The second thing is, would it cause any damage? No, it probably just pop the AAD out of the window, but we wouldn't want that anyway, would we? At the end of the day. Okay. Next one. Okay, what's wrong with this one? Any got any ideas? It's been taken out for obvious reasons. What's wrong with this one? So we've got the RSL coming out of the wrong side of the reserve riser, and it's been hooked up on the wrong side of the riser. That is not a good situation to be in, but fortunately it was caught. Your RSL should have a clear route from your ring, from the clip, all the way to your reserve pin. Okay, and if it doesn't have a clear route, then there's a problem, and that's the simplest way that I can tell you. So you should be able to pull the lanyard, and it should feed, or you should be able to feed your hand right down through to the cable. Okay, it shouldn't go underneath anything or around anything. Yes. Yes, it would, because it's actually jammed underneath the reserve riser. So you've got a potential hang up there. This is another one now. This is quite difficult one really to see. But can anybody spot anything on this one? Any ideas? Charlie, you're an AP. Oh, not anymore. You were an AP. Any ideas?
Red thread around the other side.
No, it's nothing to do with the seal. No, so this is set up correctly. However, see this here? This is metal. And we've got a metal screw going through the reserve top flap into potentially your departing free bag. So might be subtle, but it's about keeping your eyes open, you know, and attention to detail. That was grounded, obviously.
Sorry, could you explain the problem one more time?
Okay, so the two RSL rings here have been put onto the flap with a screw and a nut. And so what you've got then is a piece of metal that, as you're, if you imagine your flap coming up and your free bag coming past it, that could actually rip a massive hole in your free bag bridle, your reserve pilot chute, your...
So it's been manufactured that way?
Not by the manufacturer.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to show you now what it should look like. But this was a retrofit by somebody, we don't know. I think it was done in Holland. And actually this particular kit should have this system. Now that might look like an odd system to you, but this is a French law system, RSL system. It has one left, gauche, and one right, droite, and it actually has 2 pins and 2 closing loops. This is the only system that should be on a PDF Atom, and that's what it should look like. And the other one was, as I say, completely wrong. Okay, now this one is a tricky one. So we've got 2 risers that are set up, one this way and one this way, and an RSL. Which one do you think is right? Possibly the bottom one. I'm going to warn you, this isn't an Atom. Have a look at the riser. So it's not a standard riser, is it? So this has got a slightly different system. So this is a Quasar, and it's manufactured by Strong. And actually, believe it or not, this one is correct, even though it doesn't look like it should be. And the picture was sent to me, and somebody had turned the other one round and put it that way and said, "Is this right, Karen? Which way round should it be?" And actually, the top one's right. So it is. So it just goes to show you can't know everything about everything, you know. And if you're not sure, you need to find somebody that does know. There we go. So this is a Vigil. It's an old Vigil one, but it's still a Vigil. And the old type of control units used to be quite big, and this plastic here used to be quite brittle. But are you aware that this can happen? And I'm going to show you how it happens. So I see people packing their rigs all the time, and then they come to do the pilot chute and they do this. And what you're doing is you're putting all of the pressure on the cable where your AAD is. And that's what causes this. So don't put it on its neck, put it on its side and feed your pilot chute in that way. That's going to help you stay safe. And obviously, we can't do anything about that. It's got to go back to the manufacturer. So, or we get a new one from the manufacturer. So it will just save you some time. What about this one? So this is a cutaway handle. I apologise for the picture. It's really awful. Anything with this one?
Why is more visible than it should be?
You're right, yeah, the wires are more visible than it should be. It's actually routed incorrectly. So that should be inside of the chest strap that goes across here. Okay. So just, again, it's about keeping your eyes open. What about this one? Everyone does flight line checks and everyone checks risers. Do you know what you're checking? Got any idea what you're checking? And there's a clue there in the photographs. Yeah. So you'll see old farts like me and Chris. I'm going to include Chris as well. Because whenever we do flight line checks, we will always turn the riser. And I don't see a lot of people doing that. You probably do that, do you? Yeah. And then you got told what it's for. Yeah. So back in 1988, we used to manufacture 1-inch risers without any supporting tape inside, and we were whacking holes through the middle of a 1-inch riser in order to put the grommet in. And then we found that if you put an RSL on that, it actually snaps the riser. So all of those were then banned. Do you know that British Skydiving got a banned items list? So we have a banned items list. And you cannot use risers with RSLs if they haven't got a support tape in. And you should be able to see on every single one of your kits a different colour of support tape inside that riser.
How common would these be? Doesn't find them without the tape. They'd be banned.
So did you see my talk last year on closet queens?
Yes.
Yeah. So closet queens, everyone's got a closet queen. Oh, I found a closet queen. And they're more likely to be on a closet queen, a Sabre one, or something like that. So your friend's got this rig and he's just bought it, and you see this. So I'll give you the story about this rig. This rig came into my parachute loft because the instructor said, oh, I'm not so sure about this. He's had a chest strap extension. He didn't like his chest strap, thought it was too short, so he thought he'd cut it off here and extend it. People do stupid stuff. Okay, packers, we got Jacek. Who else we got? Ruby. Anybody else here? Look on the packer floor. Jacek, what's wrong with this picture? It's a Sigma.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with it.
That's all I can say. I don't know.
You don't know? Ruby, what's wrong with this picture?
I don't know either.
You don't know either. Where does the closing loop on a Sigma come out? Comes out inside, doesn't it? So the closing loop's actually been put on the wrong way round. And this came from a rigger in Germany, and he'd done some repairs and actually put it back together incorrectly. So the loop should actually come out from the inside. This is a good one. I found this in a kit in Kenya. Advanced packers, we've got Ruby, got Chris. What else have we got? Kaylee. I think the clue's in the picture, isn't it? So, yeah, we've got a very clear picture that says this one is correct and don't do this. And that's what I find. It'd be a surprise. They've got another one for advanced packers now. So we all think that Cypress, this is a Cypress disc, so this holds your closing loop for your reserve. And if you see any of the packers at any time, we're like stretching the loop so that it doesn't stretch anymore after we've packed it. And this one's actually busted. And I didn't know that that could happen until I was sent this picture. So there you go. It's one for the TIs. Got any TIs yet? Kaylee? Kaylee? Yeah, so this is the RSL on the old Sigma, and it used to have what's called a crystal ball on it. And that crystal ball was common for it to actually get stuck in the big ring. And if that gets stuck in the big ring, what do you think is going to happen? You're not going to be able to cut away, are you? And this is another one, just for our TIs. If you don't untwist your brake lines, you're going to get attention knock. And just another one to scare the pants off of all of you. So this kit had done 14 jumps when it came into my rigging room. And I don't know if you are aware, but this is your reserve handle, and it should be attached to your pin. So if you pull the reserve handle, absolutely nothing is going to happen. 14 jumps when it was caught. So flight line checking is really, really, really important. Anybody got any questions?
Who was the rigger?
Kim.
Tell us.
Well, I'm going to give you a clue. So this was American, but it came. Huh? Yeah. So yeah, it was an American one, and it turned up at a drop zone in Spain, where I was working at the time. So yeah, just to give some. I know it's a bit scary, isn't it? Any other questions?
Is there any like repercussions for the riggers that have like had to do things like that?
British skydiving, yes. This was an FAI rigger, which is the American equivalent, and they do have a reporting process, and it's sort of an aircraft thing. It's more of a aircraft engineering type qualification, and it's really down to the FAI then to take it up. But as far as I know, there are very few reports ever made in the States.
What about in like the UK?
In the UK, this picture, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the safety notice that came out the other day. If you make a mistake, it gets reported to British Skydiving, and then British Skydiving contact the person that's made the mistake. And then action's taken from there, depending on what it is that's been done.
That must be like a tricky balance between having a culture where you can all learn from mistakes, but at the same time, safe, right?
Yeah, it is, yes, very difficult. I mean, generally what happens if a mistake is found is that the person that found the mistake will ring the person, telephone the person, and say, we found this. And I mean, let's face it, I would much rather find things on the ground than I would through an incident. So, yeah, well, I mean, it's just a way of trying to keep everything safe. Absolutely right.
Why don't we have seals on our reserve on like
It's actually not a requirement for British skydiving. There are some riggers that do it. I'll do it if people ask me to do it.
what's the benefit of
Well, it means that nobody's tampered with your pack job. And in the UK, we like to think that, you know, we're all fairly trustworthy. So, and apart from that, I mean, every single AP is told on their course that they are not allowed to touch anybody else's pack job. If somebody else wants to touch it, then they've got to do a whole full repack. No questions?
Is there anything we should be doing like to our gear to maintain it that you would recommend?
Don't pack it wet. In these conditions, yeah. So the biggest problem that most jumpers have is what we call contamination. And if you are jumping in these conditions, and you will see a stream of people going over to Hangar 2 once they've jumped because our kit's all muddy and what have you. If you jump it and it is wet, make sure it's dry first before you pack it. And if you land on your back, it's even more important to bring it to somebody, because it could be that the mud's got inside the reserve. We've actually opened three or four this year so far, where we've actually taken handfuls of mud out of the reserve tray. So it is, you know, it's a problem. And I mean, the other thing is, you know, sand. If you're going to a beach somewhere and you're going to go and do some beach landings and land on the beach, it's really easy for sand to get inside your reserve. And if it gets inside your reserve, it can also get inside your cutter, and it can stop your cutter from working on your AAD. So, yeah.
So if you go to one of those drop zones where you are, like the landing area is east.
When you come back, you do what Chris did. You bring it over, you empty it out, and then you wash it. Yeah.
Right.
And it's good practice to have your reserve tray opened. And
I think it was you that told us, wasn't it, about the reserve thing, got some stone behind it?
yeah. I mean, if we get little stones or things inside your cutter, then it's going to stop your cutter from working. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the main thing is if you think it's not right, the rule of thumb is if you think it's not right, it probably isn't. And if you've got something in your head, the best thing to do is to get it out of your head and to somebody that knows about equipment, one of the people who work here, and we can give you an honest opinion about what should be done.
otherwise we shouldn't be doing anything else.
Well, I mean, you should, if you read the manual for your rig, be taking out your cutaway handle once a month, cleaning it, taking the 3-ring apart, manipulating it, and then putting it back together. That's what you should do every month. Does everybody do that once a month? No, I don't do either. but technically that's what you should do. So you should be cleaning your reserve handle. But the problem is that if you have a mud on your container, which you've got, getting that cable back through can sometimes be quite tricky. And yeah.
We used to cut the handle away and clean it and all that stuff you just said.
Yeah.
I've been a bit scared to do that.
Well, I mean, if you need to do it, then there's plenty of APs around that can help you. So just come over, see one of us, and we'll help you put it back together. But yeah, it can be a little bit tricky, and obviously the routing, as we've seen from the photograph earlier, the routing is quite critical. And I've seen skyhook systems that haven't actually been routed correctly, and if it's not routed correctly, it won't work. Yeah. So yeah, it's important that it's done the right way. And obviously keep an eye on your lines and your kill line, your pilot chute. If you start to experience funny openings, then it's usually your pilot chute. People forget that actually it's your pilot chute that deploys everything else. So it's a critical piece of equipment.
What's the most common mistake that jumpers make?
Common mistake. Oh, Rich. Many and various. The most common, probably kill lines, just not checking the kill lines. Pulling your handle to cock your pilot chute is a real common one, because that puts strain on that attachment point of your handle, and that will damage your pilot chute. So always pull the line from the inside, not the handle. Misrouting stuff is very common, especially RSLs after taking out cutaway handles, etc. Yeah, many and various. Landing in the mud. Anything else? No? Great. Thank you very much. If you want any